We're here once again in the Duesenberg section of the garage with one of the most legendary American racing cars of all time. Actually, one of the most legendary racing cars of all time, American, European, whatever. This is Abe Jenkins' Mormon Meteor. This is just a fantastic car that has so much history. It was brought down from the Price Museum of Speed up in Salt Lake City, Utah. They were kind enough to bring it down here and show it to us. And I want you to meet the gentleman who owns this terrific automobile. He's Ambassador Price. And Ambassador Price or John Price? What do you like?
Well, just call me John.
Just call you John. Okay, that sounds
great.
good enough. There's such tremendous history with Abe Jenkins and the Salt Flats. And now, how many Mormon Meteors were there?
Well, there are actually two, but the Mormon Meteor I had a Duesenberg engine in it, and then they decided to put the Conqueror engine in it, which is a Curtis Conqueror engine, and they actually called it the Mormon Meteor II.
Right.
And then they put the original engine back in, the Duesenberg engine, and took the Conqueror engine out, and Augie Duesenberg and Ab Jenkins completely built this car.
Right.
And then put the Conqueror engine in it. So really, there is a Mormon Meteor I and a Mormon Meteor III.
Right.
And that's what we're looking at. And it doesn't look like any other Duesenberg.
Now, Abe drove this car, was it 24 hours? What was the exact record?
Well, Ab was...
It's Ab, or I say Abe, it's Ab. Ab Jenkins.
That's right.
It's Ab Jenkins. Okay.
Ab Jenkins. Yeah, he drove this car and, for 6-hour spins, 12-hour, 24, 46 hours. I mean, he just set well over 90
and he had amazing
records.
endurance. I remember I used to read about him, and he was a great spokesman for the Mormon faith. He didn't drink, didn't smoke, no caffeine. You know, he was like the kind of the Jack LaLanne of his day. I remember seeing pictures of him as a kid, you know, and he'd always be kind of standing like this in front of the car, and he would drive at 160 miles an hour for like, what was the longest he ever did at one sitting?
24 hours.
24 hours straight at 160 miles an hour. You know, I'm dozing off after 20 minutes on the 101. I mean, that's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing.
Well, he'd come out and they'd give him a glass of milk.
Right, that's right. He drank milk. That's right. He would always drink milk, and he'd go like this, and no cigarettes, no tobacco, kids. I mean, he was a great role model for kids of the period. I do remember him, and he isn't there a book, The Salt of the Earth, or something like that? Yeah, the story of him was a fantastic story. And he obviously, what did he do? He was not an engineer by trade, was he?
No, he was a builder.
Okay.
He was in the construction business, but he really liked racing.
Right.
And so he raced anything that there was. I mean, from early motorcycles to tractors. He raced tractors.
Right.
He even did Pierce Arrows for the Pierce Arrow Company, and then Studebakers. And he'd run not just on the salt, but he'd go cross country.
Probably didn't have a wind tunnel, did he?
No.
So this was just what they thought streamlining should be.
He and Augie built this, and even they didn't like the radiator, and Augie brought a piece of metal and carved that radiator right out on the salt flats.
Really? Wow.
I mean, and you look at it, it looks like it came right out of a machine shop.
How old a man was Ab when he started racing?
He would have been 45 or 50 years old.
That's right. Not a kid.
No.
Not a kid. So to have that kind of endurance.
Right. And you know, Marv, you met his son Marv at the SEMA show.
Terrific guy.
Right. And Marv told me the wonderful story. He said, here I am sitting in this chair, and here comes Jay Leno. And he walks over, he says, can I sit in your car? I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember that.
And then,
that was a great honor.
And then you said, can I have your autograph?
Yeah, I did.
And he said, you want my autograph?
I got him to sign my book. Oh, yeah.
And that was a funny story, but Marv passed away. He passed away a week before we were running this on the Salt Flats.
I didn't know that.
You know, we ran this on the Salt Flats on the 18th of September, or 19th of September, 19th and 20th, 2 days we had. And he was going to come out. And 1 week before that, he passed away. But at the same hour of the funeral, we ran this car.
Oh, wow, okay.
And today is another monumental occasion. Today is his 90th birthday, would have been.
Ab donated this car to the city of Salt Lake, right?
He did, to the state of Utah.
State of Utah,
right.
Okay.
And they had it up there for quite a few years under glass, and then they were restoring the building, and they put it out in the backyard.
Yeah.
In the rain, the snow.
Yeah, that's what happens.
And people took things off the gauges and so on. Marv got it back, and then he did a restoration, but could only go so far.
Well, let's show people the engine now. This is, I mean, it looks so menacing with all these exhaust ports here. That is the Curtis Conqueror aircraft engine. About 750 horsepower?
750 horsepower.
What's the cubic inch displacement?
1,750.
1,750, okay. So not crazy by aircraft standards, but good size. See, that's my favorite period, because when aircraft engines were just bigger, better versions of automobile engines. And you could take these enormous aircraft engines and put them in cars. I've got a Merlin-powered one. I've got a Spot aircraft-powered one. But this is one of my favorite engines, but they only built about 500 of these, right? These are very rare.
Oh, they're very rare. You can't find them. The first ones were built in 1924. And
these are Rudge-type wheels or Rudge wheels? Are these built special for this car?
They're built special, 22-inch wheels. Okay. And you can't find the tires. These actually are truck tires.
Right, cut down.
And we just file them down.
Nowadays, everything has to be safety wired and double checked. Notice this is just put on, bang, 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 hit it on, go drive it 160 miles an hour. I mean, notice how these are all drilled and bolted on here.
Right.
To keep it from slipping, I imagine.
That's right, that's what it is. We have two sets, one is for show and one is for driving. This one is for driving. Yeah.
And to drive this for 24 hours straight, just the tremendous engine heat and the noise in this cockpit, because it's sealed and there's no air conditioning. It doesn't appear, is this for the driver?
You get a little bit of air.
You get a little bit of air. Just you don't want too much air. You know, we think of Streamliners today as being literally just maybe 35 or 42 inches off the ground. Look at, I'm 6 feet tall, and look at this thing. This is pretty amazing. If you were racing against this car, here is probably what you'd see most often.
At 120 miles an hour on the salt flats, I took the hands off the wheel. I just let it go. It wanted to go even faster, but I was afraid of the wheel. These tires are only rated for 130. It's very aerodynamic. I mean, the wind coming through between here and here, it just sort of stabilizes us.
Yeah.
You would think it wouldn't be stable being so narrow. It's extremely stable.
I mean, it's literally like a cigar. And the 4 headlights for driving at night.
Driving at night, yeah.
When you're driving 160 miles an hour at night, that's what's safer than that.
Jay, it's offset 6 inches to the left because it was turning in one direction.
Oh, okay.
So that it's closer here. In other words, it's not centered.
Yeah. And these massive brakes, are they off a truck or something, or were they built specifically for the car?
No, they're truck brakes, large
truck
ones.
brakes, okay. I mean, the people back then, everything now is so purpose-built in racing, but back in the day, people just found the biggest, strongest, best part they could and put them on. Pretty amazing.
But they won't stop you very quickly. In other words, when you put it in gear, in first gear, you get to 1,000 RPM, and you're already heading up almost to 100 miles an hour.
Right.
And then you get through the second gear, you're well over 100 miles an hour. And by the time in third gear, you could be going 195 to 200 miles an hour. Now, when you slow down, these brakes won't stop.
Right.
You just have to let it cruise, and you have to have enough distance.
That's comforting to know. So the brakes are really there just for your own amusement. Was there any significance to the colors of orange and blue, or did they just like them?
You know, when you have a picture here on your wall of this car with Ab, which I was very impressed with.
Yeah.
And it was a off-beige body in red fenders, and that was because it was DX Oil.
Oh, okay.
And that's who the sponsor was. Then Harvey Firestone became very involved with this project.
Right.
And so these are the Firestone colors.
Okay. Oh, I see.
So they repainted the car for the sponsor.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nice, you know, it's so nice to see racing cars. My favorite period is right up to the 60s when they weren't littered with stickers and, you know, Tupperware and every other kind of ridiculous sponsor.
Right.
I mean, these days you set a world record, you got a handshake, a slice of cold mutton. Okay, thank you, goodbye. And you went back to whatever you did.
Right.
You know, there was no prize. You didn't get $1 million. No. And the fact that he had this car and he donated it to the state of Utah, which is a pretty generous thing to do, because obviously something like this would have been worth a fortune, being a record-breaking car. So that was quite a magnanimous thing to do as well. So yeah, it got the great seal of the state of Utah right on there. Take a look. There you go. Let's show everybody the cockpit. Just lift this up here.
Yes.
Okay. And boy, that is a cockpit. I mean, that's the legal definition of a cockpit. It looks just like an aircraft. Look at this, beautifully done. What would the temperature be in this cockpit, do you think?
Well, it was over 100 degrees.
And what is that, just a 3-speed truck-style transmission?
3-speed truck-style transmission, that's all that it is.
Wow, okay.
And
what is that other little lever there? I notice I see the shifter.
That's just to be able to shift it easier. Ab had an accident in this car. You see over here the fuel, reserve fuel. It jammed up on him, and it started to leak some fuel, and it ignited. Okay. And it almost burned him. Wow. So what happened then is that I didn't want to be driving it or anyone else without some suppression system, so I put in a suppression system in there.
And you run it on pump gas, racing gas,
regular gas?
Just regular gas?
Regular gas.
So so you can take it on the street. It's a very practical car. You could drive it anywhere. And what kind of mileage are you getting with that motor?
3 miles to the
3 miles per gallon.
If you're
Okay.
lucky.
And you have what, 2 fuel tanks?
Yes.
And what do you have here? Is this to aid in starting or to charging?
That's the external charging that we put on there.
Okay.
So that you can because the batteries are under here, and instead of taking all of the bolts off, you just are able to.
Is it 24-volt system, 12-volt system?
12-volt system.
12-volt system, okay.
I mean, they're having trouble with the exhaust, and so this was designed right out there in the field. Yeah.
And I love the AB signature here. A real piece of history. But it looks like you should get in it and fight crime. You know, like there's some criminal doing something somewhere. You would hop in this, you would race down there, arrest the criminal, wave to the pretty girl, and then go back home again. Well, we're going to take this thing out, and we're going to fire it up, which is a real treat, because to hear this thing run is pretty amazing. And we're going to show you some footage of this car running on the Great Salt Lake as well.
Man, it's going to be exciting when you hear that roar.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Got to turn that on.
Okay, turn
Gotta
on.
Get it up to the pressure here.
What do you
Get
need
up
to
to
do?
5 pounds.
You need to flip that switch.
Fuel pump?
Fuel pump.
Right there.
Not quite 5,
That's good. And shut her down.
4.5, right at 5.
That's fine anywhere there.
Shut it off.
Okay.
Another primer.
Primer over there. You turn it clockwise again.
Lock it up. Okay.
Okay.
We're in neutral.
Yep. Flip your magneto.
All the way over.
Yep. Hit your start button.
All the way over. Here we go.
Neutral.
Yep.
Yeah. This is
Okay.
kill.
That's run. Yeah. Flip it back.